Hi, I'm Yunderup, and my channel is all about photographing and filming wildlife. Now what have I got in store for you today? Let's take a look.
Well, hi and welcome to Perth. Yes, that's right, I've stepped out of my office into someone else's. I have made it to the top of Stony Point. Magnificent views in any direction. 360 degrees. All the way down the coastline. Had to see all the way out down that coastline as well, and all the way around me. It's just spectacular views. In the background you can see another point that's not that far away from me, about 6 k's probably. There is a 6-hour walk all the way to the end of the point there, with beautiful, spectacular views down there as well. But that walk's more well known for the unusual formations of rock. But unfortunately for me, I haven't got enough time to do it. 6 hours there and back. Yeah, it's a big walk and I just haven't got enough time. I'm back home in my own office after a 2-week holiday over in West Australia. Had an absolute ball while I was over there. We started in Perth, drove down the coastline, stopping at different towns along the way, ending up down the bottom in Albany, and back up to Perth and over to Rottnest Island. Along the way, I did some photographing and filming, as you've already seen. Time lapse, birds in flight, long exposures, and a host of other types of photography. And normally, in my office, I'm photographing and filming and studying a little carnivorous marsupial called the agile antechinus. That's my passion in life at the minute. I want to know everything about it. So after work and on weekends, this is where I am, studying the agile. And going on holidays, travelling around the place is always a welcome break from here, even though I love it. But it's just great to be able to have a go at different types of photography, have a bit more fun. And time lapse is what I started with. Well, how do I go about filming time lapse? Well, I like to get on site an hour before I need to, so I can relax and make sure that the camera is set up properly. Also gives me time to go back to my accommodation if I've forgotten something. You know, where I was filming the city of Perth from, beautiful advantage point, Kings Park. It's quite a high rise, so we get this beautiful view of the city and the landscape beyond. That's always going to be a great place for locals to come and film as well. So keeping that in mind, getting on site earlier than you really need to, making sure that we get the best advantage point, which I did. There was 7 people turned up about half an hour after I did, so yes, it worked out for me getting there early. Now, the city of Perth, thank you very much for the awesome display you put on for me. It was just amazing. This beautiful landscape shot of the city, lots of coloured lights everywhere and billboards and buildings around the place. The city highway was just down beside me there as well, lots of cars moving along, mountain range in the background as well where the sun's coming up, lots of clouds, and that's what we need for time lapse. We need a lot of movement, give us that really good experience and entertain us. As the sun comes up, we're going to get beautiful colours in those clouds, which is exactly what happened. I got beautiful oranges and reds. It was awesome. Also the city lights, before the sun starts to come up, we get lots of reflective light back onto these low clouds, which I had, and it was just awesome. I like to film for at least an hour and a half. I like, for a city view like that, I like to have a lot more of night than the day. Because of the traffic moving, we get those nice colours in the sky still from the lights themselves off the city. So it was just awesome, it worked out beautifully. While my camera is set up, it's doing its time-lapse thing. There's not much more for me to do except for just look around the place and soak in the atmosphere. But there's no time for that at all, is there? Because we need to get the DSLR out and start doing long exposures. Got some fantastic shots, and here's a few of them. Now I wanted a nice scene of the city, so how am I setting up the camera before the sun coming up? I'm using the 7D Mark II for this trip, and I have a nice little wireless control. Cost me $50 about 6 years ago, I think it was, 6 or 7 years ago when I bought my 5D Mark II. Been a handy little tool to have. They're probably $100 by now, I suppose. But anyway, I'm avoiding vibrations by setting my camera up to be able to use my wireless triggering. We also need to set up our landscape shot, focus, turn the focusing off the lens, and the stabilizer to avoid any vibration at all, because otherwise we're going to get a blurry picture. Now we also need to go into the menu and look for mirror lockup. Very important, because the mirror creates a lot of vibration. That's the noise you can hear when you're taking photographs. It's slapping away as well as the shutter itself. So locking it up is very important. And here's a photograph to show you what happens if you don't. Yes, it's very blurry, isn't it? So we need to lock it up. Right, so come out of that. What else do we have to do to set this camera up? Well, we need to go into bulb mode. That's on Canon cameras, it's bulb mode. This means I have full control over how this camera works. Set my ISO to 100 to avoid noise. Keep the ISO as low as you possibly can. We don't want any noise and grain in the background. My aperture is set to around a f11. My lens that I'll be using, it's close to its sweet spot. Around 9 to 11 is good for that lens. My shutter speed, that stays open as long as I want. That's what bulb mode does. It means I have full control over how long my shutter stays open for, so I can really burn in the image into my sensor. Now for this particular scene of the city at night before the sun come up, was around 20 seconds. Burnt the image into that sensor beautifully. It's lit up nicely. We're getting all those colours and everything from the lights of the city. Yeah, just awesome shot. And yeah, as time goes by, our time gets less and less with their shutter being open, of course. Sun starts to come up. We're going down from 20 seconds, 15 seconds to 10 seconds. Yeah, it's all a matter of experimenting. Now as I continue my journey down the coastline, we come across a lot of caves, so I thought it'd be great to do some exploration of these caves and take some photographs in there. Now, there's a lot of challenges with cave photography, just as much as there is when we're inside buildings, so halls or even at home and wedding venues. There's going to be a lot of reflective surfaces that we need to keep in mind. We're going to be using a flash inside the cave because it's very dark. They're usually lit up with very low lighting, give you that feel of pixies and fairies around the place. Yeah, just really build up the atmosphere, very low lighting. So using a flash is very much essential thing to have on your camera. Right, so I'm setting my camera into manual mode so that I have full control over the camera. Won't be playing with the settings of the camera once I have it set up. It'll be the flash that I'll be adjusting up and down with power. So I've got my shutter speed to 250. Going to be any movement around the place, so I don't need to worry about a fast shutter to freeze the action. My aperture is set to f9, just to let a bit more light in and keep the camera sharp as well. My ISO, I'm going to leave it with a little bit of flexibility here with 500. Yeah, so 500 just gives me a bit of flexibility in large part of the cave, so the big amphitheatres, so that we can really get in a lot of light, but also it's not going to be too bad in a close environment. Just keep my flash down really low. And we also need to keep in mind the people around us when we're filming using a flash. We don't want to blind them, so it's always a polite thing to do is let them go off. Once they've all moved away, you can start taking photographs. But you always get someone who's hanging around and won't go. They'll always just yell out, "Excuse me, I'm going to take a photograph, I'm going to be using the flash," just so that they're warned and ready to go. Now moving into some parts of the cave, we're going to be bouncing off the walls or the ceiling so that we can diffuse a little bit more as well. That just helps out a lot with some reflective things. Doesn't matter how much we're turning our flash down, we're still going to get some sort of flash off them. So bouncing it off the wall will help out a lot. As well as the big amphitheatres, to light everything up, we need to bounce it. And here's the shot I took of my wife standing on the balcony at the top of the amphitheatre. Yeah, it's just lit up beautifully. Moving on to Rottnest Island. This island has a lot of reflective surfaces on the ground. It's a limestone island, so we need to keep this in mind when we're taking a photograph. It's no different than taking a photograph on the beach. It was a dull day. It was also midday as well, so that we're going to have the sun above us. The subject's not going to be lit up properly like my wife or the quokkas. So using a flash is very helpful, but it's also going to hinder us as well. The ground is very reflective. You've got this nice white surface lots of pebbles and stuff on there, so there is some detail there, but so that it doesn't blow out, we really need to think hard about how we're going to set our camera up. Alright, so it's in manual mode. I've got my shutter set to around 250, not a lot of movement. Quokkas, they're only slightly hopping around, they're not running around the place, so don't have to worry about that. Got my aperture set to around f11, my ISO down low, I think I had it on 200, using the flash's power to get my subject nicely lit up, but keeping it at a value where we're not going to have too much drama with this flashback. It's awkward and it's hard, you just got to find that balance, moving your ISO a little bit sometimes and dousing down the power of the flash and upping it when we need to. Now here's a photograph of some swallows on a salt pan. They're very reflective surface, not a lot of detail on the ground. It's going to be very easy to blow this out. My subject is black and not lit up very well, even though there's reflections onto its stomach from this salt pan. The rest of it, they're black. They don't have a lot of detail in them anyway. They're 5 meters away, so I have to use a lot of flash to reach them. It was just a balancing act, getting the flash right with my ISO, and got a reasonable result. Well, I hope you enjoyed my little trip to West Australia as much as I did. Had an absolute ball. We'll have to go back and have a look at the rest of West Australia. Up the north end would be awesome. If you'd like to subscribe, click on the subscription button down below and you'll get notification whenever I do anything else. And if you'd like to go and have a look at all the things I've been doing over the years, like camera reviews, accessory reviews, talking about birds in flight, flash photography, birds nesting, the list goes on and on. There's over 50 different videos to choose from. There must be something there of interest to you. Click on my icon down below, take you to my channel. Now just remember, if you don't do, you don't get. So get out there and start photographing and filming wildlife, which is exactly what I'm going to do right now. See ya.